Over 100 days of the Government of National Unity, and there are still some divided opinions about whether or not it is working. Those who support it say that it is in fact what the country needs, while others say that the fact that we've seen some parties inside the GNU disagree publicly is still a cause for concern. So let's speak to Nkosikhulule Nyembezi, policy analyst, mediator, researcher at Election Monitoring Network. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. Over 100 days of the GNU, some analysts say that the honeymoon is over. Your take?
Thank you very much. I think it's still early to say the honeymoon is over. I mean, we look at this as to whether the glass is half full or half empty. And I would say that it is half full because there is some progress that has been made over the last 100 days, including the passing of budget votes for departments, both at national and provincial levels, which are going to determine the spending patterns going forward as the parties work on the policy and legislative issues that are going to characterize the Government of National Unity.
And would you say that it is because of a collaborative spirit by these political parties, or is there something else?
Yes, it is the collaborative spirit. We'll understand that the Government of National Unity came about as a result of the election outcome. So the composition and the proportion of representation of each of the participating parties, it was informed by the election outcome. So you need a number of months to get everything solidified, understanding that policies, legislation, and regulations, they come about as a result of a process. And sometimes when you need to change legislation, you must have public consultations. So it is good that they are working on. And I want to come back to the issue of budget votes that were passed, and it's something that these parties collectively own. And now that we are in the month of October, we also await the mid-term policy budget statement, which these parties will have contributed in, and it's going to show us as to how the outlook is for the next 3 years in this Government of National Unity.
There have been some tests, of course, that it has faced as well, and, you know, quite a number of instances where we've seen some of them publicly disagreeing, but a number of people currently are singling out that matter of the Bella Bill, for example, where we saw the Basic Education Minister not going there, but also raising her concerns, but still saying that, you know, now this matter is going back, according to the President, as he said, some clauses there are going to be re-looked at. Certain people are saying that this should be a worry for the President if a minister in that portfolio is not there for the signing of legislation that is directly linked to them.
Well, in a piano, there are high notes and low notes. The non-attendance of a minister for a ceremony is nothing that is that can raise eyebrows. It's nothing that is required in law. It's nothing that stops the operation of the legislation that the President assents to. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. In fact, I also think that it is a true reflection of the spirit in this Government of National Unity in the formative days. So it is okay for the minister not to attend for whatever reason, because it means that is no sugarcoating to say that all is well, but the center still holds, and that is what we would hope for. What I would be concerned about is non-progress when nothing happens, because we are waiting for this to happen, we are waiting for this, we are cautious, and this is not happening. That would be a concern, because this government has got a finite term. But when things are happening, even though there are some question marks, there is no finality, there is no perfection, it means that at least we are making progress, and we will get perfection along the way.
Do you think they'll finish their term?
Yes, they should. Yes, they should. But again, even if they do not finish their term, it will be as a result of a reality that shows that this arrangement doesn't work between one, two or more parties. And therefore, we need to change the gear and put in place something else that is going to wait. It will be of no benefit for South Africa for the parties to stick on to wanting to finish their term when things do not work. If things do not work and we all understand halfway, then something must be done halfway so as to keep up the momentum. But the way I see it, particularly because political parties are going for conferences this summer in December, January. They will also internally be able to evaluate the role and commitments they have undertaken concerning the government of national unity. And I assume that and hope that after January 2025, we will have a stronger ground upon which each one of the contributors and participants in the government of national unity will have something unique to contribute that we can tangibly see.
And when you speak about political parties, you know, when one looks at, there's been an interesting dynamic given some of the ANC's alliance partners and their stance on the GNU. But today, for example, COSATU staging the nationwide protest against unemployment, the rising cost of living, calling for a moratorium on retrenchments as well. Would you say their voice is still loud enough to make a tangible difference to address the challenges workers are facing?
Yes, it is. Unemployment is a significant challenge for South Africa, and there must be voices to speak on that issue. So it is a good thing for the labor movement to keep this issue on the radar screen. Where I think the government of national unity is failing, particularly from the president's side, is with respect to the national dialogue he announced to say that we are taking baby steps in forming and making the government of national unity to work, and we will include all other social players through a national dialogue. Because that has not kicked off and there is no talk about it, there are no dates, no timelines, there is no agenda, it is dissipating and deflating that excitement that was there. And I think that is a blind spot, and it is something that must be addressed urgently, so as to include all these social partners and not limit the process only to political parties in government.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. That was Nkosikhulule Nyembezi, policy analyst, mediator, researcher at Election Monitoring Network.